can call me... Just call me the librarian. I'm here to tell you tales. Some, they'll take you to a magical land with elves, magic, and dwarves. And others to a nasty place. Let's just call it the other side. Tonight's tale is about love. And let's just say, if you fall in love a little too quickly, your heart is like glass that shatters to pieces. And that is what happened to Thomas Brown. I hope you enjoy. The Groom by Night Owl Tales. It was the most important day of Thomas Brown's life. He stood before the mirror adjusting a black suit tailored from the finest silk money could buy. At 6'1", with an athletic build and dark hair that swept elegantly down to his jawline, he looked every bit the dashing groom. "This is the day we marry," he whispered to his reflection. "This is the day our families combined." "Are you sure this is a good idea, Mr. Thomas?" Thomas turned to see Henry Clemens standing by the door. Henry was a fixture of the estate, a loyal family butler who had served the Browns for decades. His face was a map of wrinkles, but his eyes remained sharp. "I'm sure of it, Henry." "Entirely sure," Thomas said, tightening his silk tie. "If I may ask, sir, why her? You only met the lady yesterday," Henry said. His voice carried the soft, cautious weight of a man who had seen too much of the world to trust a whirlwind romance. Thomas' expression hardened. "I am positive she is the one, Henry. I would prefer it if you didn't question me again." Henry bowed his head, his face unreadable. "Very well, sir." He turned and took his leave, his footsteps fading down the marble hall. One day earlier, the sun was setting over Whispering Pines, casting long golden shadow across the streets. Thomas Brown, known by every local as the wealthiest man in the county, enjoyed the evening breeze despite his status. He walked with a kind of approach and grace. He stopped at the local tavern, a place famous for hosting tourists from across the nation. Inside, the atmosphere was warm and humming with conversation. "Good evening, Mr. Thomas," the bartender said, smoothing her apron. "What can I get for you on this fine night?" "A fine night indeed," Thomas smiled. "I take your best rum on the rocks." The bartender bowed slightly in respect. Thomas was well loved in Whispering Pines. He was the man who funded the local shelters and ensured the town's struggling families had roofs over their heads. She poured a generous glass of their most expensive reserve and set it before him. Thomas slid a $50 bill across the wood. "Keep the change." As he took his first sip, his gaze drifted across the room. That was when he saw her. She sat alone in a booth, wearing a crimson dress that clung to her perfectly proportioned frame. Her hair was vibrant, voluminous red. She was, without question, the most beautiful woman he had ever seen. Compelled by a sudden magnetic pull, Thomas stood up and walked toward her. "Hello, my dear. What brings a vision like you here on such a fine evening?" He offered a polite bow. The woman looked up, A predatory glint flashed in her eyes, though Thomas saw only a charming smile. "I'm here to forget," she said softly. "My date stood me up tonight." "A crime," Thomas said, unable to pull his eyes away from hers. "My name is Thomas Brown. Perhaps I could offer some better company." She gestured to the seat across from her. "I'm Isabella Graham." "A pleasure, Miss Isabella. You don't sound like you're from around here," Thomas noted, catching a strange lilt in her voice. She laughed. "I could say the same for you." "Guilty," Thomas chuckled. "My family is from England. I moved to the States as a lad. I've adopted to the American ways, but the accent refuses to leave me." "I think it's adorable," she purred. The hour bled together. By his fifth drink, Thomas felt a warm buzz in his head and a strange heaviness in his limbs. When Isabella suggested they head back to her place, he didn't hesitate. They arrived at her secluded home, and as they sat on their velvet couch, Isabella leaned in. She took his hand and pressed her lips to his. The moment they touched, the world shattered. Thomas felt a sickening jolt, as if he were being shoved into the back of his own skull. He could see his body kissing Isabella, but he was no longer at the wheel. He was a passenger in his own skin, locked behind a mental veil. A thick, unnatural fog rolled into the room, swallowing the furniture. "Hello, Mr. Thomas," a voice roared. It didn't come from the room. It vibrated inside his very soul. "Who's there?" Thomas tried to scream, but his mouth wouldn't move. In his mind, he was trembling, his hands slick in cold sweat. Isabella stepped through the fog. Her beautiful face remained, but her eyes had turned into twin orbs of glowing milk white. What are you? Where am I?" He stuttered in the dark of his own conscience. "We are in your mind, Mr. Thomas," she said, her voice dripping with malice. "And your body is going to be a home for my dear husband." Her form began to tear. Her skin shifted into something gray, tonic. Like weathered stone, she grew upward, her head scraping the ceiling at 8 feet tall. Teeth as long as daggers lined a jaw that could crush a man whole. Long, spiny arms ended in claws that promised a quick end to any resistance. Thomas tried to run into the darkness of his own mind, but the creature pounced in the fog of his subconscious. The monster opened its maw and began to devour his spirit. Present day. Back at the wedding, the groom stood at the altar. To the guest, he looked perfect. The music swelled as Isabella walked down the aisle in a gown of pure white. The townspeople cheered, though a few felt a strange shiver pass as the couple locked eyes. "You may kiss the bride," the minister announced. Later that night, the Browns sat before a roaring fireplace in the manor. Thomas swirled a glass of scotch, his movements stiff, predatory. "This just gets easier and easier, doesn't it?" The thing wearing Thomas's face said. Isabella smiled, her human mask flickering for a split second. Disgusting creatures, these humans, but so very easy to hollow out. Simultaneously, their eyes flashed a brilliant, blinding white. From the heights of the manor, a roar echoed out, a sound so primal and monstrous that every soul in Whispering Pines felt their hearts stop in terror. That's the tale of Thomas Brown. If you would like to hear more of these tales, subscribe and leave a comment down below. What was your favorite part? What was your favorite thing? Let me know. Who knows? Maybe you'll make it into the archives as well. Until next time, enjoy your night.